Hello, and welcome to today's LOL Esports Roundup, where we cover the games from the LCS last night, Week 2, Day 2, the LPL and LCK from this morning, and then preview the LPL, LCK, and LEC games for tomorrow. The LCS games that are going on right now will be on tomorrow's Roundup. In terms of predictions, I'm 134. That includes all the games on the board. For recap, not the LCS games going on right now. Yesterday I had the wrong win-loss up there. So I corrected that. Once again, LCS stats are nowhere to be found. I cannot find them on Leaguepedia or Games of Legends, or I believe Oracle's Elixir once more. So that makes this tougher. I really do like stats. They jog my memory when it comes to looking at, all of these games. People say, how do you remember all this stuff? Well, I just need a couple notes, and then it's like, okay, now I know, what happened. But we're going to go with this. So, NRG TSM. TSM would win. They went Graves mid once more. Wild Turtle was MVP. I think on a Jinx, he was disgusting. I want to say like 7-0-11. A close game early on. Then TSM took over. Hunter looking real good on a Kesante. Insanity, the Graves needs to go back from which it came. I think he was 1-3-4 when the team was winning, as in like he is being useless. Boogie was nice at times. NRG just struggling. Like I said yesterday, I think going with a new bot lane combo was not the play. Should have left the old CLG roster alone. I don't think Contracts and Palafox have quite the same amount of oomph they did in spring either. And it's unfortunate for them. NRG coming back into the scene and looking like crap. Nice to see Hanser do well again. Nice to see the bot lane of TSM do well. Chime also had some good moments in this game. So TSM find a way to win. Golden Guardians, Immortals, GG are 3-2 now. IMT 2-3. As GG win. Gory was MVP. He had a Penta on Jace. If you're new to the channel, Pentas mean automatic MVP status. Stixay had some really nice pop-off moments in this game. I felt like the top lane was relatively useless when it came to Licorice. Solo actually had some plays on the Ornn. I would almost say that he was more relevant than Licorice in this game, thinking back on it. Balulu was okay at times, but obviously Gory gapped him. And then who he played the Rel once more, and it is one of his better champions, I feel. So that was nice for them, as IMT just similar to NRG. I mean, IMT beat NRG in a game they had no business winning in a complete clusterfuck of a game. So to see them both struggling back-to-back is not a big shock to me. Not very good teams. I'd like Balulu to do a little bit more or get a little bit more agency, because I do think he is LCS level at least. So that's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Golden Guardians are just better. Gory was really, really, really good. Stixay did his job, he did his job, and Immortals really had no answer. 100 Thieves, Cloud9. Cloud9 are now 5-0, 15th in the power rankings as they win. Blabber was MVP. Yeah, he got after it. He got after it. He was involved. He went mid lane, put Quid in a hole once again. Quid struggling throughout laning phase. I think he has to learn how to... I'd have to look closer, but I feel like he's going to have to work on that whole vision thing to make sure he's not getting eaten alive when it comes to ganks and just in lane straight up. Eminez beating him is not... I don't know. Jojo and Eminez are probably pretty close, so I guess it's not a shock. But Eminez is pretty coin flippy. In terms of bot lane, I thought Berserker came through in the mid to late game. I thought Sven on the Yumi could have had a case for MVP, to be honest with you. I thought that, there were moments where team fights started and his ultis were really on point and turned 100 Thieves into nothing. The Zaya Rakan, absolutely useless. 100T, like FlyQuest, just kind of shit in the bed in summer. Dignitas TL. Dignitas upset Team Liquid. So Digger 2-3, TL 4-1. Rich was MVP on the Kesante. I thought he got the better of Summit, and then he was very impactful in team fights. Jensen on the Orianna, his best champion, his win rate backs that up, was excellent. Tomo found times to be impactful in team fights. I thought Harry was okay. at moments. Yeon was okay at moments, but they just didn't have as much as Jensen and Tomo did. And then the top side of the Rift Summit not doing, I mean, it's a Korean import versus a Korean import, and Rich got the better of it. Jungle-wise, Pioshik, TL had an early lead, and they just blew it. So he did his job, and then they just kind of threw. They started 4-0. We can already say they're doing better than they were in spring. A loss is good for a team like that, to humble you, if you will. EG beat FlyQuest. EG 4-1. Fly 0-5. Revenge was MVP on a K-Sante. I thought he did really well in team fights, similar to how Hanser did and Rich did. The K-Sante was really a big pick in the LCS, in my opinion, yesterday. Impact, not nearly as impactful. He didn't die on the Mal fight until very much later into the game, and the team was already on its heels at that point. Vikla needs to step up. That's a person that I really haven't thought about much this year. Not this year. I thought about him quite a bit in spring. Haven't really thought about him much in summer. And, that's a thing. Like, what's he doing here? He's irrelevant or losing. He needs to do more. A lot of people are going to give Prince a lot of crap, but Vikla needs to step it up too. He's a year and a half in. He's still one of the youngest mid laners in the world, but I would still like him to, find moments to be relevant. Hell, bad players find moments to be relevant in losses. We see it all the time in the LPL and LCK, where a bad team, that young player is doing well in a bad environment. Bulldog, for example. So stuff like that. No excuse for Vikla. No excuse for FlyQuest as they lose to EG. Armeo doing well. JoJo doing well. The team is just, the island of misfit toys. So a lot of people laughed at this roster, and I won't lie about the fact that I don't think Armeo is very good. But EG have some good players. JoJo is one of the better mids in the LCS. Unforgiven should have already been in the LCS, should have stayed in the LEC. He is very good. So to have the two carry roles be good, and Isla now out of FlyQuest with EG, maybe he figures things out, and yesterday he did quite well. Revenge in a decent environment. He's just average. EG are an okay team. So, the thought that they weren't going to make playoffs out of 8 teams 8 out of 10 making it, I thought was pretty ridiculous. They're doing their thing. LPL recap, LGD, FPX. FPX win 2-0. They're 3-5. LGD 1-8. Prediction-wise, I got this one wrong. Jalahu was MVP. Care 4-5-12, 26% of damage in the win. Chow Chow went deathless. Sorry. Chow Chow went deathless at support, 2-0-22. Envy 5-10-6, 34% of damage in the loss. So Jalahu in the early game, not very impactful, as LGD actually, I think if I recall correctly, really matched FPX in the early game. Didn't allow FunPlus Phoenix to get ahead, but then in the mid to late game, FPX were able to fight well around Jalahu and LWX. I did debate on making LWX MVP. Care, despite being on like Tristana for a game, he did deal a lot of damage, but the KDA doesn't really back that up, right? 26% is a pretty even spread, which goes to show you Jalahu had MVP moments. LWX did as well, as they split the damage share. As far as LGD is concerned, Meteor going on Scion in both games, that is a weird play. Because even I'll admit, Meteor on carries is a hell of a lot better than Meteor on a tank. I don't know what the hell the thought is behind that. Decade has not looked very good. This was a game where you'd like him to perform because it is against FPX and not a great team. And Jala, who is a solid top laner, but somebody that I would like a young player to, show some glimpses against. And it didn't really happen. Hi, Chow. Meh. Just meh. Sending XQW down I thought was a mistake. I think you need that pressure on Hai Chow in mid lane. So FPX 2-0 LGD. Ultra Prime LNG 6-3 as they win 2-0. Ultra Prime are now 4-4. Scout was MVP as he went 13-3-11, 36% of damage on Jace. He might have played Jace both games. Zika 7-1-11 in top lane. Harry had the most damage for Ultra Prime, going 3-6-6, 33%. Similar to how I was talking about when I mentioned Vikla. In bad environments, I want young players to perform. Harry, Ultra Prime are 4-4. I don't think they're that good, despite the record, but he comes out, deals 1/3 of damage in a Tire Fire 2-0 blowout. You know, I thought Ning set the pace in the early game and put Tarzan in a position where he had to match, which was interesting. Tarzan obviously taking over at a certain point because he's just better, but Ning did throw the first punch, I believe, in both games. Forge gapped. His Annie game was rough. Rough. Like 7 deaths, 8 deaths or something, like very bad. Ching should be playing, but now Ching is a backup on FPX, so he's no longer a free agent. But Scout dominating, Tarzan doing his job. Gala, I don't even think about Gala really in this one because Scout was so impactful. And Doggo was not really in a position where he had to be matched by Gala. I mean, when your top laner deals 1/3 of your damage, what is your 80 carry doing? We do know Forge was dying, but what was the 80 carry doing? So, you know, LNG easy 2-0 there, not a shocker. Top Esports JDG, I would have liked this one to be closer. It was not. JDG smoked Top, going to 8-1, 2-0 as Top fall to 7-2. Knight went 11-1, 14, 32% of damage in mid. Ruler went deathless, 11-0, 13, so I gave him MVP. Rookie 152, 30% of damage in mid. You could have made a case probably for everybody to be MVP in JDG's camp for this one. 369 opened it up with a first blood onto Wayward. He would then return the favor, getting a little hypey in game 2 on the K'Sante and diving under the enemy turret and dying. You know, so that took him out of it. I thought his Orin game was excellent, though. His ultis were on point. Kanavi did his job at a high level on the Poppy and the Wukong. Mid lane, Knight clearly did his job. Ruler clearly did his job. Missing setup opportunities. Top were just not in a great spot. Like, even trying to take a Rift Herald, I think Kanavi ended up stealing it. You know, Rookie playing Aurelion Soul. Like, we're really in a position where we're just trying to scale the win. Jackie Love and Mark, I wanted them to perform a little bit better because last time they didn't against JDG in spring, and that was the difference in my opinion. And in this case, I thought they didn't do that well either. So, you know, there's an argument between Top, LNG, Weibo for who people want to go to Worlds. I wouldn't be shocked if all three of them go to Worlds. I don't think anybody would be shocked by that. Like, there's probabilities, of course, like BLG have a high probability of making it. They're a very good team. But to say, like, to be shocked, to be surprised if they didn't make it, I wouldn't be. I mean, with the LPL, the only team that I would be surprised not going to Worlds would be JDG. Like, everybody else is like, OMG could go on a run. Weibo could go on a run. You know, hell, EDG, if they somehow figured it out. I know that was a leap of faith, but I think you get my point. LCK, Kwangdong Freaks, Nongshim, KDF are 3-3 now as they 2-0 Nongshim. Dudu was MVP, going 6-2-23, 29% of damage, over 900 DPM on his Poppy in both games. I love that Poppy is meta. I don't know what it is about Poppy and Tristana in the Yordles. I just seeing them on the Rift, they got multi-role impact. I love it. Young J 5-1-24. So the top side of the Rift, 11-3 and 47. Nongshim, Din Sylvie were a little bit diffied there. Jiwoo 989, 34% of damage in the loss. I felt like he was better than Taeyun in this one. Taeyun played Zeri in a game, and that's irrelevant. So we look at the other game, and I thought Jiwoo actually got the better of him in the loss, which was a big deal. I mean, you're losing, and you're you know, doing much better than Taeyun was, despite a 2v2 kill, I think, for the KDF bot lane at one point. But it's something to take away. Young players in bad situations performing above their teammates, right? Quad plays in game 1, he gets solo killed by Bulldog. Finally, Nongshim go with Fiesta in mid. Fiesta dealt a hell of a lot more damage than Quad did. Results don't change, but hopefully they start Fiesta in the next series, give him an opportunity to try and take his spot back. I think it's only fair because clearly they're not winning games with Quad, right? Due to like a menace in team fights, annoying if you will. There were moments in the bot side of the Rift when he and Din Din were side laning, and it was like a slugfest between like Poppy and, I want to say Malphite, and then Poppy and Gragas. Like it was just like, it was a slugfest up there between bruiser tanks. Yeah. So Nongshim, not very good. KDF, top side of the Rift, very good. HLE, Live Sandbox. HLE win. They're 3-2. Sandbox 2-4. Hanwha Life 2-1 in the win. Viper 25-19, 38% of damage in the win. Zeka 12-6, 22. Closer 7-11, 20, 29% of damage in the loss. I think Zeka was my MVP. He played Annie, and Azir. If I recall, I didn't mark it down, which is a problem. Viper, very good. His Draven game was interesting. And I thought his other two games were fine. Not quite as interesting picks as Teddy. Teddy played Callista today, which we haven't seen in, I think they said 300 days. It had dropped out of the meta in the LCK by quite a bit. You got Sandbox and KDF battling for that 6th spot in our hearts and minds. And I thought Birdall had some moments in this one where he got the better of Kingen, but then Kingen also got the better of him. In terms of jungle, Willer was on Wukong a couple times, and they're showing stats of how Wukong sucks in the LCK, that LCK teams either have figured out how to play against it or cannot play around it right now. And Sandbox continue to play it, and I do realize it's one of Willer's best champions. I've said that before. I mean, even I've noticed it. I mean, clearly the casters noticed it. They had the stats, but it's something I've mentioned as well. They need to put that away. Closer needs to stop dying at weird moments. That needs to stop. Birdall has become more consistent. And Teddy and Kale, that's a solid bot lane. Kale is very good. Super good, in fact. Elite, in my opinion. Teddy is solid. He's not going to lose you games. But against HLE, they just don't have it. Klid was not inting today too bad. I felt like his aggression was working for him on the Vi. Now, that did get him into trouble sometimes. But at the same time, I was like, if he just continues to do it, Sandbox have to respect it. Sometimes they might kill him, but otherwise he's pushing the game forward and he's building advantages, and that's what ended up happening on the Vi. So I thought Klid really set a good pace in this one in team fights into the mid to late game, utilizing a champion that doesn't have a lot of, oomph, in my opinion. Sneak peek for tomorrow, LPL, Thunder Talk Team Wii. So, Thunder Talk 1-7, coming off of a loss to Weibo. Team World Elite, 12th in the power rankings, 4-1, coming off of a loss against OMG. Last time they played in spring, Team Wii won 2-0. In terms of the same matchups, it's jungle mid. Hang Shanks went 17-6-29 for 1,034 DPM. That was 47% of Team Wii's damage in the win. Beshwan Yukal went 10-14-14 for 1,017 DPM and 50% of the team's damage. So a little bit more impact out of the TT jungle mid duo relative to the team, dealing slightly less damage. But I will say that those two two duos, not that much different. Like KDA will end up different as the game transpires and it's a 2-0, so it's a bit lopsided. So is the other areas of the Rift that Team Wii built the advantage they did. After that, we have FPX Anyone's Legend, FPX 3-5, coming off of a win against LGD. Had to make sure I'm recording audio. Thank God I am. It would have been kind of late otherwise. Anyone's Legend 1-7, coming off of a loss to EDG. When they played in spring, Anyone's Legend won 2-0. The only matchup that is the same is the junglers. Zhao Hao 9-4-23, 11% of damage in the win. So, Facilitator, Hacker 4711, 19% of damage. You had to take on a little bit more of a carry roll as you're in the high teens there versus the low teens. Lastly, a very good matchup. There's three very, very fun matchups tomorrow in the East. Weibo and BLG. Weibo are 6th in the power rankings, 5-2, coming off of a win against Thunder Talk. BLG 7-1, 4th in the power rankings, coming off of a win against LEC. When they played in spring playoffs, BLG won 3-0. 9 of the 10 players are the same. So we look at 80 carry, and Elk went off in this sweep. He went 28, 1-12, 31% of damage. Light 5, 7, 12, 24%. So Light did not show up. He didn't even get aggressive and die 15 times like Abel would or something. No, he KDA'd it and didn't have impact on the game outside of being irrelevant, which was impactful enough. Elk, on the other hand, 28, 1-12, really put a statement out there in that one. LCK, Gen G, 2nd in the power rankings, 5-0, coming off of a win against DRX, faced D+, who are 10th, 3-2, coming off of a loss to KT. When they played last in spring, Gen G won 2-0. The mid laners are the matchup I'm highlighting. Both went positive in KDA. Chovy 10-8, 24% of damage. Showmaker 5-7, 25%. So both about 1/4 of the team's damage. T1, 5th in the power rankings, 4-1, coming off of a win against Guangdong Freaks. KT, 8th in the power rankings, 4-1, coming off of a win against D+. Last time they played were in spring playoffs when T1 would win 3-2 in a game 5 for the ages where Cuz died 11 times and KT still could have won. Imagine that. KT could have went to MSI. 80 carries were pretty similar. Gumiyushi 31, 13, 28, 31% of damage in the win. Aiming 31, 14, 27, 29% of damage in the loss. So very similar impact. I expect a very fun series in that one. Obviously, the last 2 times the other 2 pairs of teams played, it was lopsided, but T1 KT was a slugfest, and it should be fun to watch once more. LEC Week 2. Yes, Week 2, Day 1. SK BDS, SK 1-2 coming off of a win against XL. BDS 1-2 coming off of a loss to Astralis. Last time they played, BDS won 2-0 in spring group stage. Crowny went 9-1-13, 34% of damage in the win. Exakick 4-5-3, 26% of damage in the loss. 2 young teams that need this win. And maybe that'll give them the confidence for the rest of the week and be able to build off of it for their championship points hopes. After that, we have XL and Heretics. XL 0-3 coming off of a loss to SK. Heretics 21st in the power rankings, 3-0, coming off of a win against Vitality. Last time they played, Heretics won. The only matchups that are the same are top support. So Eevee Mursa went 7-9-30, 925 DPM, 26% of damage. Odoamne and Limit went 6-13-17, 900 DPM, so pretty much the same DPM, but 31% of the damage. So 1/3 of the damage, well, 3/10 of the damage from top support for XL, where it was 1/4 for Heretics. And that is a big difference, right? We're talking about 5-6% difference where it's coming from elsewhere. So Heretics really showing up early on here. Koi and Fnatic. Koi 1-2, coming off of a loss to Mad Lions. Fnatic 22nd in the power rankings, 2-1, coming off of a win against G2. Last time they played, Fnatic won. Top side of the rift remains the same. So Oscar Rinnan, Razor Humanoid went 16, 4, and 25 for 1,661 DPM, 80% of the damage. So the bot lane only 20% combined. The bot lane was no impact of the bot lane in Fnatic's win. Sisgenda, Malring, Larson went 2-12-4, 803 DPM, so less than half of the DPM of Fnatic, and still 77%. So less than half the damage, and Koi's bot lane was just as useless. So now that Advian has went from Fnatic to Koi, that should change some things, and Trimby vice versa. Maybe the bot lane will be a little different this time. Vitality G2, Vitality 23rd in the power rankings, 1 and 2, coming off of a loss to Heretics. G2 14th, coming off of a win against Fnatic. They're 2 and 1. They won the last time they played, so we're comparing mid laners here. Caps 3-4-11, 25% in the win. Perks 4-4-1, 33% in the loss. Perks did deal a lot of damage in the losses for Vitality in spring. That obviously is a marquee matchup tomorrow as well. Lastly, Astralis Mad Lions. Astralis 1 and 2, coming off of a win against BDS. Mad Lions 3 and 0, coming off of a win against Koi. Last time they played, Mad Lions would win 2-0 in spring groups. Both bot laners were positive. Karzi, 12-3-13, 32% of damage in the win. Kabe 7-4-5, 30% of damage in the loss. So that one should be pretty close as well, especially with how well Astralis played against BDS. And frankly, Finn has played well to start the season, following up a solid spring split. So that's it for the roundup. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.